everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here, and I was so glad for what the mailman brought me today. I love it when I get the 2 boxes that I receive and review for you guys every month that come directly from the Czech Republic. The name of the company is Craftica, and this is one of the 2 boxes. This one is called Czech Beads Exclusive. It has usually 26 items in it, and it is high quality, very reasonably priced, and beautifully curated. And this month's box is called Enchanted Forest. It is to kick us into the autumnal jewelry, and it's it's incredible what they did. Very incredible, I was going to say, because it's a little bit edgy and moody and dark like an enchanted forest, but at the same time, there are pops of the bright, beautiful colors that the autumn leaves, that are changing, and the pumpkin colors and the golden colors and the nutmeg and the spice colors. So they have combined both of those in this box, and I just love it. I'm going to go quickly through the unboxing because I want to make a couple pairs of earrings, and I've been playing with making my own ear wires, so I'll share some of my new designs with you. So the first thing is this silver large owl, and I love him because he's 2-sided, and I do have a thing for owls. I really do. And then this Czech glass owl, I'm going to be using him in one of my designs, but I love this owl. He's 2-sided, he's extremely detailed, and these are new colors for me. So this one is the beige bronze patina wash, and this one is the pastel pearl red. So it is he's small, but can you see how it has that pearlescent finish? He's really beautiful. And then we got some gorgeous dagger beads. They are half black and half silver, metallic black, silver, half dagger beads. And these little trilobite guys are so cute. They're black and gold washed. They do look like something you'd see in the ground in an enchanted forest. And then I love it when we get these little spacer beads. These are 3mm Picasso white brown small spacer beads. I make a lot of things with these ring components. These are so fabulous if you like to do beaded beads with needle and thread. I just love getting those little 3mm beads. And then these just delight me to no end. These are orange gold patina round drucks in 6mm, and we got the same thing in an orange red gold patina, also 6mm. And I've done one of my pairs of earrings with these, and I might even use them in the other pair. I love the 2 colors. I just love it. So for the earrings, I used one of these in the middle. I'll show you. I'm really excited about my earrings. So I used a darker one and a lighter one, but I am just crazy about those. And I'm feeling like when I show you the rest of the beads, I'm feeling like I need to make a really pretty autumnal bracelet. I'm going to set those aside for my earrings. And then this is really cool. This is a Picasso black and 8mm pressed druck, and it's etched a little bit like acid etched, so it's not completely smooth. It's got some texture on it. That is such a cool moody bead. And then I love Czech glass melon beads, and these are so gorgeous. They're crystal orange red terracotta, and it's my favorite size, my 6mm size. I just love the fluting on those, and you can make these very easily look like pumpkins, little pumpkin earrings, just add in some Czech glass leaves. And speaking of that, this is so cool. This is a black round melon bead in 6mm, and I just love the fluting. I just think it's so elegant, and I love black and gold, black and white and gold, and even if you want to pop oranges and reds in with that, it's just so beautiful. But they're a little bit edgy in this box, and like I say, kind of dark and moody. It kind of matches when the light changes outside. I love this time of year. And then we got that same bead again in a Picasso black round melon bead. I just love that. And we got a lovely collection here of hematite rondelles. They're 4 by 2.5mm. Let me pick up a few. This is one of my favorite things in the box. I love these rondelles. They look like little donuts, and they're just I don't know, there's something about that shape. It's kind of disc-like, but it's like a little donut because it's very rounded. And squished down. Like, I just love that. I think it's gorgeous. And then I love the little bicone beads. These are so lovely. These are black, silver, luster, hematite, 4mm. I don't know if they'll go on my head pin here because it's made of 20 gauge. Oh, just barely. Look how cute that is. And it's not, it's a black, silver, luster hematite. So it's got a little bit more flash than regular hematite. And then aren't these cool? They're so dark and moody. My son is going to love these. These are metallic dark silver hematite spider beads. It's a 13mm, and isn't it cool? It really looks like a black widow spider. They're just really cool. We got 5 of those. Like, that's enough to make a beaded chain like bracelet if you wanted a spider bracelet. And then these are so cool, these little nuggets. These are hematite luster, and they're rough edged. It's an English cut, so it looks like a nugget. They are so small. Let me not try to put it on my wire, but aren't they cool? They're really textural, and they have a nice little flash to them because of the colorway. And then up next is this metallic dark silver hematite vintage rondelle round. This looks a little bit like a little gear or something from the hardware store. It's very cool. And I absolutely love the melon drops, and these are gold washed. I love the fluted melons that come from the Czech Republic. These are so gorgeous. You can just take this bead and make a gorgeous earring, and we got that in another colorway, and this is going to be one of my earring designs. I just absolutely love these autumnal spice colors with a gold wash and the teardrop shape, and it's just beautiful. I really love it. And then I don't want to skip over the black waxed cotton cord. I love working with this. You guys know that I love doing knotting projects, but this is so great. I mean, it's edgy for feminine jewelry if you want to have something a little moody and edgy, but if you have gifts to make for sons or nephews or male teachers, this makes such gorgeous bracelets and keychains and bookmarkers on the more masculine side. So it's so great to get that. For me, when I buy things, I tend to go to pinks and purples, and I forget to pick up the blacks and the neutrals when I need to do those things. So I'm thrilled to get that. And then up next is the Picasso beige red round druck. These are 8mm, and I just love these. I'm feeling like I need a fall bracelet with these and the next 3. I absolutely love these autumnal spice colors. The next one is a Picasso beige dark yellow round druck. Look at that. These are like the spices, like pumpkin spice all mixed in, and I love this one too. This is called Picasso rose pink, another 8mm druck. For newer people, a druck is a smooth round bead. It doesn't have any fluting or any diamond cutting or any faceting on it. It's just a totally smooth round bead. But look at that. Doesn't that look like fall baking or spices you would have in your kitchen? I really think that I need a bracelet out of this. And I have to tell you, when beads are this beautiful and finishes are this rich, you don't have to overthink your designs. You can simply make a beaded chain with beads like this and mix them all up, and that can be like your go-to bracelet for the whole season. I'm probably going to do a bracelet. Maybe I'll pop back in with another video and maybe even mix those in. I'm jumping. I'm already in design. It's terrible when I do that. I'm supposed to be sharing the beads with you, and my head is designing. But we also got these Picasso orange, green, black patina rectangle beads, and I just love those. And again, for newer people, Picasso is a wash or like a finish that they apply to the bead, and sometimes Czech glass beads have several finishes, which is why the names are so long. But this, the Picasso gives you this little bit of a dappled or like almost like a sponge look onto the beads. So they're very rich and textural and not flat. And this is one of my favorite things in the box. I love when the dichroic glass. So we got this gorgeous metallic dichroic brown, green, blue, AB bronze patina cat, and I love this cat. I have him in a few colors. He's two-sided, so like this is the back of his head and the back of his body, and this is all the detail with his little tail. But I love all the colors, and I love that dichroic glass a lot of times, especially this, looks like it's metal, and it's a little bit weighty too, but it's a glass bead, but it takes on this really metallic look. And like for me, I could see him as either the charm or the focal with the rich oranges and reds. I think that's so beautiful. It's a lovely contrast, and the finishes on this just play beautifully with that. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to be doing 2 bracelets because I love this little cat. And then let me not leave out the seed beads. We got crystal black, silver lined. These are round Preciosa 11-0 seed beads. It's a 2-millimeter bead. I did not take them out of their little package, but I love seed beads. You guys know that I love seed beads. I do seed bead earrings, and these would make really cool, minimalist, very edgy, like stick earrings. You could add a little silver chain to your sticks. I recently did a video where I did a pair of earrings like that and just have movement and, you know, this kind of dark color. I really love getting seed beads in a box as well. Okay, I'm going to just show you my sample earring. This is a trapeze act. This is the coolest connecting project. I have taken 3 hammered gold rings from my stash, and I cannot hold on to anything today. But what is so cool about the way that these are connected is that the bead components are not only the dangles, but it is what connects the rings. And I'm going to show you how I did this, and I'm going to also share my hammered rings with you because it was a metallic assortment. And what is so cool is that in this assortment was a lot of hematite hammered rings, and look at these with the hematite beads in the box. I mean, this is just so gorgeous. And if you're a black and silver lover, look at these. So I'm a gold girl. I love the gold in here, but there also had silver. But I just was amazed at the hematite rings just play so beautifully with the colors in this box. And let me just lay a couple silver ones here too, because if you wanted to alternate the silver and the hematite and get a little, you know, more flash with playing with earring designs. And these are also great for bracelet designs because you can make your links with your beads and create your own sort of chain, bracelet, or necklace with these rings. So I just thought I would share those. I'll put a link in the description box because I just found those, and I just wanted some solid rings to play with in my designs. But if you do an 18 gauge jump ring, you can also recreate my design that I'm going to do today without these. If you wanted to make your own jump rings, or if you have like some larger jump rings, you can definitely kind of reconfigure the design. So let me move some things out of the way. Just be a second for you. Okay, so for these earrings, you will need an ear wire, and I'm going to show you I made these cool contemporary swooping ones, but I'm also made these triangular ones, really simple, so you can make your own. I'm actually going to use these for my other pair of earrings, and I'll show you how I did these, but I have these made up. You will need 4 head pins. I'm using 3 ball head pins for my dangles and 1 of these splayed paddle head pins for my owl. And I even debated about not doing the owl, but I really do like these to have that autumnal theme. So you need 3 rings, a jump ring, an ear wire, 3 ball head pins, and then maybe a fancier head pin. You could even do a spiral here. And that is that for the earrings. So to start out with, I have one of the darker drucks, one of the orange drucks, and then one of the darker drucks. So I did them that way. And to start out with, I'm going to take one of my ball head pins and I'm going to put it through the darker druck. And you can use your 1-step looper here if you want to, you know, do that. I kind of mixed it up. I've done some of my loops by hand and used my 1-step looper for some. So I'm just going to feed that on, and I will go ahead and do the first one with my 1-step looper, my 2 1/4. So depending on the rings that you're working with, I had to go up in size because of the dimension of my ring there. My simple loops have to go over that, and they also have to accommodate the next when ring. I do a connecting project like this, I'm a little bit of a fuss budget. These rings have almost like a concave back and a convex front. You could do it either way, but I'm using this, the convex part, as my front. So I want to connect my drop so that the opening of my simple loop is going to be toward the back of my earring. So I'm just going to get in here as best I can and close this loop. Close it up a little bit before I fit it in there. So I'm facing it so that it's to the front of my earring. Okay, and now I'm going to take my jump ring and open it. I'm starting from the top of the earring and working my way down. And I'm going to put my jump ring through my simple loop, and then I'm going to add my ear wire so that it's facing the right direction. And now I'm going to close that. And then building this is really fun because it's like an engineering feat, or like a little bead and ring trapeze act. So that's the start. And I have my orientation right. I have this jump ring here so that everything is laying the way I want. And now I'm going to do the same thing. My middle bead was one of the orange beads, and I'm going to do these loops by hand, and I'm using my 6-step bail making plier for this. So I'm just going to give that a 90-degree bend, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm using the second to the largest step on my bail making plier. So I want to hold it, I want to put this in here so that I will be wrapping around the step that I want. And I'm just going to wrap that around, rotate that out of my way, and pull this wire around. And I just take a second here to line everything up. I want that loop centered on my bead. And I get this really pretty, perfect loop. This is how I do my simple loops when I do them by hand. And then I'm going to come inside and snip right where my wire meets itself. And this is where it's so cool. I'm going to open this loop now, and I'm going to add this to my first existing ring. Just let that lay over my hand. And now I'm going to put this ring in the loop as well. And in order for it to be facing forward, I'm going to do it so that the wrong sides are together, almost like when you're sewing. The wrong sides of the fabric go together, and then you turn it the right side out when you're done. Close that loop and work harden, and then what happens is your jump ring, or not your jump ring, your simple loop and your ring are making that connection, I guess. And they're very almost like a mobile, because even though everything's facing forward, they dangle almost like a mobile above a baby's crib, or like a little trapeze act. It's so cool. And then I'm going to do the third ring exactly the same way. But I switch back to one of the darker drucks, and I'm just going to put that 90-degree bend, not a 90-degree bend, just somewhat of a bend. And so I hear from you guys a lot that a lot of people have trouble making simple loops. And so try this. You can do this with your bail plier. You can do it with your round nose pliers, but it's kind of like the way you would wrap a loop. I'll show you when you get to the certain point, you can either snip it like I do or wrap it. You can do either way. So I have my bend and my wire. I'm wrapping it over the step that I want. I'm going to rotate out of my way and then pull this wire around, all the way around the mandrel nice and tight, And then either you can roll your wrist, you can pull this wire down, you can push your bead, whatever you need to do to make sure that that loop is centered on your bead. And then just come inside right where the two wires meet with the flush, flat side of your cutter and snip. And you have like a perfectly round and perfectly centered simple loop. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Open that simple loop. Make sure I'm looking at the front of my earring and attach it to that loop. I just lay it over my finger and then match up the wrong sides of my ring. So the wrong sides are together. Close that simple loop. Work hard in it. Make sure it's closed. Wire can bounce back. Sometimes when you think you closed it, it bounces right out. And look at that. The rings are connected with the simple loop dangles. And same thing on my little owl. He's going to get a bend. And let's see, what did I use on him? I think I used the second to the smallest step. But as I was saying, if you do your simple loops this way, when you get to this point where you have created your loop and it's lined up, from here, if you want to, you can grab this loop and wrap. Or if you need a simple loop, you just come right inside and snip, and then you're ready to connect. And same thing on adding my owl in. Even though these are very dangly, I still want to connect him so that the opening of my simple loops is all on the back side of the earring. Just close it really well, work hard in it. And the one thing I want to make sure is, and I can see that it is not, with the splayed or paddle head pin, when I hold my simple loop like that, can you see that my paddle is not facing forward? I am a fuss budget about things like that, and it's just such a simple fix. Just the slight twist, just twisting, I'm holding the loop, and just to get the orientation correct. And so, you know, when you connect things properly, then they always hang properly. Look at that. This is such a fun pair of earrings. Okay, for this pair, I'm going to do just some creative wire wrapping. I have a little scrap of 20 gauge wire, and I'm just going to give myself a blunt cut, and I'm going to come here and do a little spiral. Just a small, just making my own spiral head pin. And what I think I'm going to do on this spiral is make it a little bit open. So I'm not going to do it super tight. I'm pushing it, but I'm leaving a little space in there, and I'm going to hammer it flat. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So right where I stopped spiraling, I'm going to come in with my pliers and just bend that wire straight up. And get it nice and smooth and straight since it's a head pin. And I'm going to bring my little bench block in, and I'm going to take my, let's see, what hammer? I'll use my riveting hammer. And I'm just going to flatten this. I'm sorry, I forgot to warn you to either fast forward or turn your volume down if the hammering is going to bother your ears. And I'm just going to flip it over. Just want to flatten the wire. You can leave it round if you want to, but I like this look. And then I'm just going to use the other side of the riveting hammer to put some bite marks in the wire, and it just for me it mimics that diamond cutting or like twisted wire. It adds a lot of texture. Just get some bite marks in. So pretty. It's so simple and it just takes a second and it just adds a real artisan. There's something about hammered wire that's just truly artisan. And I think I'm going to put a disc spacer in between my druck and my melon bead. It just makes such a difference. The shape, you know, I love this because it's a round, it's a flat, it's a teardrop, and I just love the geometry of those shapes. So I am ready to do a wrapped loop here. So I'm just going to grab my bead at the top. I need to look at my ear wires. No, I'm not. I'm going to grab it this way because of the orientation of the loop on my ear wire. Give that a bend, and then I'm going to come with my round nose plier. I don't need a very big loop at the top. It only has to fit into that hole, but I'm going to bring that over, rotate my pliers, bring that around, and rotate everything so that, just like I do on my simple loop, so that that is centered. And like from here, I could cut that and have a simple loop, but I have this extra wire on purpose. I'm going to grab this with my bent chain nose pliers and I'm going to wrap down to my bead. One coil laying right beneath the previous one, and then when I reach the top of the bead, I'm going to, let me get this wire smooth. It's smooth, I mean really warm it, and I am just going to orbit my bead, and I don't want it to be super tight up against the bead if I can help it. I am just going to orbit my bead with my extra wire. And I'm going to wrap it underneath the teardrop and just get in there. And I probably need, my wire's a little short now to do it with my fingers, but I just want to get in there that wire. I'll trim it right here. This will be the back. And then just go in with my pliers and get the cut end to hide in between my disc and my teardrop. It's so pretty. And then I'm going to come to my handmade ear wire and open that simple loop and put that facing forward and close the loop and work harden it. And look at that, it's simple, it's elegant, it's contemporary, it's autumnal. I just love, as jewelry makers, that for me, that I can refresh my wardrobe. I can jump into a new season by making some fresh jewelry pieces quickly and inexpensively and wear the same tops and sweaters that I wore last autumn, but I feel updated and fresh with just a couple new pieces of jewelry. So let me show you how I did these earrings. I'm going to take a little bit more of my 20 gauge wire here. I like to use my one-step looper to start out my ear wires. That gives me a really good size loop right here for attaching, and also then all my earrings are alike with that. I'm also going to be using, this is a set of 4 mandrels. There's oval, round, square, and triangular. That's what I used to get my shape for this. It's a really cool little set. The handle pops off and changes onto the different shapes. And then I also have this gigantic bail making plier, and that's what I use to get these swooping contemporary ear wires. I use the smallest one on here, but you could even make them bigger. To me, it's very contemporary, avant-garde, and kind of that runway earring look. So these are my tools that I have for the earrings. So I'll show you these first. They're both really easy. I'm just going to get a simple loop in the end of my wire here and get it nice and smooth and straight. Just close my tool and get it nice and smooth and straight. then I'm going to take my giant bail making plier, and I want to be wrapping around the smallest mandrel, and you can do these either way that you want. You can make it so that the opening of your simple loop is going toward the inside of your earring, which is what I did here. So when you look at that hoop, you don't see the opening because the earring is here. But you can also turn it around and do it the other way. And you can also do it so that your simple loop is this way, and then your ear wire goes right in. So why don't I do this one that way? Just going to put the loop in my bail making plier just like that, just so the beginning of the loop is in between the two bails, and then I'm just going to wrap that around. Whoops, my wire's a little bit long, and just bring it back almost touching. It's going to bounce back a little bit, and then I like to take my pliers and just bend that forward. And now I'm going to line up my cutter right at the base of my loop and snip. And I'm going to make another one right now because I tend to forget what I did when I'm making custom earrings and ear wires. Look at that really cool contemporary pair of ear wires. And then I have my battery operated reamer with the wire rounder attachment. It's so easy. You just pull this out and you can put your reamer in, or I have the wire rounder, and my wire fits right in there, and I just press the button and go around a little bit, and you can't believe how smooth that little motion is. It makes your ear wire, it's such a nice professional touch. I really love that. So I'm a toolaholic. I'm a jewelry toolaholic for sure. I love my tools. I've been collecting tools since I was probably in the 5th grade, 6th grade, something like that. I've replaced them over the years, but I love tools. I feel like I can do a much better job when I have tools. Okay, so I'm starting the same way with a simple loop in my wire, and then I'm going to come to, I've been using this third step on here. I'm going to place my 1, 2, 3. I'm going to place my ear wire flat on this mandrel, and just so that my loop is past. You can also do it like that, where your loop is right on the edge. It doesn't matter as long as you do both earrings alike. And I'm putting my thumb over the whole thing, and then I'm just going to use this mandrel to get this shape in here. And that's a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to pinch it closed. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just cut, I'm just going to eyeball my cut, maybe right about there. And I'll make the other earring and then trim them at the same length. And this little set, there's an oval, like you could really experiment with making really artisan, unique ear wires with this tool. You really could, because there's all these different shapes with it. But I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did. Just wrap that. And then I'm going to pinch it together. I'll line up my first earring so that I have them at the same width apart. If I can get my little fingers in there. That one needs to come in a little bit. Now I'm just going to trim the second earring at the same spot that I did my first earring. Let me clean some of these tools away and bring in my flat nose pliers. So I'm just going to line up the end of my wire with the flat nose plier and then just kick that out, and do the same thing on this one. Sometimes I go in the halfway mark inside, and sometimes I use the full width of the flat nose plier, just depending on the shape that I'm going for. And you know, you can take your scraps of wire to make ear wires. It's such a money saver, and if you sell on a website or at a craft fair, your ear wires and your earrings stand out. They look, you know, artisan, and you know, handmade. And so the other thing I will say here, I'm very lucky that I don't have metal allergies. And my craft wire is anti-tarnish, and you know, it comes in silver, copper, like antique bronze, like all the metals. I'm lucky that I can put this in my ears, in my piercings, and I don't have any problem. But if you do have a problem, or if you have family or friends that you're making jewelry for and they do have a problem, you can buy craft wire that's gold filled. It's a lot more expensive than this, but look how little you need. I mean, this tiny little amount is an ear wire with some left over. So that is a great way to step up your game and make your, you know, make your ear wires kind of like fine jewelry. So what I'm going to do is make my second earring right now before I forget what I did, and I'll put some pictures up at the end. I also will put a link to the Craftica company. This box is called Czech Beads Exclusive. As I said, this is what the insert looks like this month. It's called Enchanted Forest, and I will be back in another video with the other box that comes directly from the Czech Republic called Bohem Style. That box is different than this one. That box comes with an insert with a link to a full video tutorial for making 2 pieces of jewelry and every single thing that you need to accomplish that in the box. So I'll come back. I rarely do in fact, I've never done the project that box is intended for, because I like to do my own thing, but I'll be back to show you that one and do a design with that one as well. I thank you so much for watching. Please take a second to give my video a thumbs up and a hype. I think you're allowed to do it 3 times a week. If you hype a video, it really helps support that channel and tells the YouTube algorithm to push it out to a wider audience. So I would greatly appreciate your support in that way. And if you tap more under the video title, all the links will be there for the rings and all the things that I used in today's project. I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Happy fall, everybody. See you in the next video.